My name is Jillian Perrick, and I'm a lover of all things orange chocolate. Think One Tree Hill is way better than the OC. And as a person who stutters, I hope to one day inspire women with invisible disabilities to overcome their limiting beliefs and start the business of their dreams, just like I did. I'm a mindset coach specializing in imposter syndrome, helping women beat their inner imposter using neurolinguistic programming, hypnosis, and time techniques. And this is the From Imposter to Empowered podcast. This podcast is for you if you're an entrepreneurial woman trying to navigate the online space with a lot of passion and a lot of uncertainty. If you feel like your ideas are unoriginal, that your message isn't necessary or important, or like you're a complete and total fraud, then you've come to the right place. This podcast will take you from imposter to empowered with ninja-like brain hacks, easy to implement strategies, and uplifting real talk to make you feel like everything you want is in reach. Let's get started, girlfriend. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the pod. So I did a podcast episode like last year, and I think it's called What's With All the Woo Woo. And I think that's when I was first introduced to NLP, it was early in 2019. And I had seen, I follow Alyssa Coleman on Instagram. She's a productivity coach, and she had just taken Yes Applies in class NLP certification, and because it's in Toronto, it piqued my interest, and I was like, oh, cool. And but all the techniques, I was like, this is bullshit, like this is all like woo woo, like what is this? But it's actually, the subconscious mind is a real thing. Like there's science to prove it, and what it holds and the power that it has over us in our everyday actions, thoughts, and behaviors. So I think that's when I uploaded the What's With All the Woo Woo episode. If you want to scroll all the way down, I'm sure it's there. And I actually feel like I want to go listen to it because I want to see, I want to hear, what I was saying, because I'm sure it was, what is with all the stuff going on, or blah, blah, blah. And it just had me thinking about how this entry into the online space and learning more about how much our thoughts and our feelings contribute to everything that we accomplish. It's actually wild how much our thoughts and our feelings can change the trajectory of our lives, especially as I've started doing more intentional routines in the morning and in the evening. And just how when you do an intentional morning routine or an evening routine, whatever, your brain is activating that reticular activating system to focus on whatever you are putting your focus on. So if you're journaling and you're journaling on your goal that you want to achieve by the end of the year, you are training your brain to focus on that, and then to focus on the openness and the possibility of it coming true. And then your actions are going to follow suit because you're seeping it into your subconscious mind, steeping like tea. But the whole point of this episode was, manifestation to me used to be some foreign concept. It used to be me being like, what the hell is manifestation? Is this all fake? But what I realized was it's actually just intentional goal setting. It's just being intentional with what you want and detaching from the outcome, and not being like, if I don't get this at this time, then it's not going to happen for me. It's just being intentional. And that's it all came together in terms of mood boards. Sorry, what am I saying? Vibe boards. What is it? Oh, somebody created a vibration board. I'm sure everybody is inspiration board. Oh my God. I can't think of it. Hold on one sec. I'm going to go look into it. Vision board. I just went and Googled it. And as I was Googling it, I came across the actual definition of manifestation, which is an event, action, or object that clearly shows or embodies something, especially a theory or an abstract idea. So the whole reason why we manifest is because we are speaking something into existence and making it happen as a result. And I was actually watching The Secret, where it talks all about the law of attraction, and it was saying how there's a time delay when it comes to manifestation and the law of attraction, because if there wasn't a time delay, everything that we thought of would come true immediately. But there's a time delay because it would be really dangerous. And in The Secret, they actually have the image of a guy in his living room, and he just thought of an elephant, I think it was, and all of a sudden the elephant was in his living room. Now, That's a really extreme example, but like to think about something like getting into a car crash and then it happening like right away, it's something like that, in that there's actually a time delay between like your thoughts, actions, and feelings and behaviors. Like you have to really be intentional about them in order to create what you want. So that is something that I also wanted to bring to attention in terms of the law of attraction and the secret and time delay. But that was really cool that we got to see the actual definition, or hear the actual definition of manifestation. So I have an example of manifestation in terms of the intentionality of it, with the example of getting your dad a gift for Father's Day, or maybe like your mom a gift for Mother's Day, and you have $20 in your wallet. And before, that $20 would just be $20. Like it has no actual value other than it being $20. But once you know, okay, all your siblings are going to go in on a gift for dad for Father's Day, and your half or your part is $20, that $20 in your wallet is going to look differently to you based on what you're focusing on. And again, before, the $20 was just $20. Here in Canada, it's actually green. The US has same colored money, and I cannot tell you how many times I've messed that up when I'm in the States traveling. But here in Canada, a $20 bill is green. And so I would look at that $20 and think, oh yeah, it's just $20. I can use that for whatever. But when it's Father's Day and I know that my part of the gift is going to be $20, I look at that $20 as that is designated for something. So it means something differently. And the same goes for your goals. So when you are just like going through life and you don't have any like real direction, things are happening to you and you're just like, okay, yeah, this is how it's going. But if you have goals and you're setting them intentionally, all of your actions therefore are going to support the fact that you are creating this goal for yourself. Not every single action in your life, but a lot of big things and decisions that you make and things that you do. And I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the term like quantum leaping. It's like rooted in quantum physics, but it's essentially like skipping all the steps that you think need to happen in order for you to accomplish something, when in reality, it's just doing things differently and therefore getting a different result. When I heard Amanda Frances say that, it's like it clicked in my brain, and I was in the bath because I like to listen to like really motivational spiritual things while I'm in the bath because it's just super relaxing. And when she said that, it all clicked for me. I was like, yes, like this, like that's what quantum leaping is, because I could never figure it out in simple terms. It's literally just doing something differently because you have different information. And the same goes for hiring a coach. So when you hire a coach, it's not that they're gonna say this is what you do. It's basically them giving you different information that you may not have had before, or giving you information you've had before but showing you in a different way, or showing you how it works or whatever. And then that allows you to take it in, absorb it, and then do things differently instead of doing things how you've always done, and then creating a different result as a result of it. So as a very simple example, a business coach, you hired them and for so long you haven't been able to sign any clients, but she helps you change up your marketing, she helps you switch up your offers, and then now you're starting to get clients. And it's not that you needed a year. It's not that there was a set time frame in which you were supposed to get a client. Like there's no time limit in which somebody has to fulfill before they get their first client. Some people start and they get their first client in a month. Some people start and they get their first client in a year. But that is not contingent on like this is what you're supposed to do or wait for. It is simply just doing things differently and getting different results. And this can be kind of hard to swallow too, in terms of like, well, everybody needs to get started somewhere, etc., etc. Of course they do. But when it comes to quantum leaping, it is simply just doing things differently and getting a different result. When I think about manifestation, or when I talk about it, the logical, analytical side of me wants it to be a very A to B type of situation. It wants it to be very linear for me. And it wants me to think, like my brain wants me to think like there's no way that something like that can happen. for you. But we have to remember that we are all individual people, and that our own belief system, the way that we see the world, the way that we see ourselves, is contributing to the fact as to why we believe that we can't have what we want. Something that my coach Reese said from Yes Supply, she said that there are people in the world who are very powerful manifestors or very, very good at the law of attraction who don't even know it. People like, for example, Kylie Jenner. Like she was born into money, and now she has like a billion-dollar business, but she doesn't have the beliefs that it's hard for her to make money. She always had the beliefs that it's easy for her to make money. And we could go into a conversation about privilege all we want, which is totally and completely relevant, but at the same time, this is just an example as to like somebody who doesn't grow up with the same beliefs as you or doesn't entertain the same beliefs as you is going to have a different result. She's going to think, of course, it's easy for me to make money. It's so easy for me to make money. And again, we can talk about the whole privilege aspect of that, but this just goes to show that because of your experiences and because of who you are and how you grew up and everything, that is why you have those beliefs. There's nothing wrong with them. It's just how you were raised and how you are, but that is why. It's not a fact that you can't get what you want tomorrow. It's just your belief system and the way that you are currently living your life isn't allowing you to get that tomorrow, and it may take time. So let's talk about how I love to manifest, or how I love to factor manifestation into my day. And that is basically just intentional goal setting with my morning routine and my evening routine, but mostly my morning routine. So in the morning, I am waking up and I am doing about 10 minutes of meditation and EFT tapping combined if I'm feeling it. And then what I do is I journal. So I journal out how I'm feeling and anything that I kind of need to get out. And then I journal on my gratitudes, which I am showing the universe that I am so grateful and really feeling into those feelings that you need to get into to be like a high vibrational match for what you want. And then I am journaling out my goals. So I am so happy and grateful that it is this day and I have achieved this goal. And it sometimes changes depending on if I'm in a launch or not. So if I'm in a launch, I'm like focusing on the end of the launch. And if not, then I'm focusing on more like my like quarterly goal or my year-end goal, whatever it is. And by paying attention to that goal and by putting it up in front of my face and really, again, paying attention to it, then I'm able to really tap into how it's going to feel when I achieve that goal. And not only that, but it has my brain and my subconscious in the background thinking about all the ways in which I'm going to make this happen, which means that my money-making activities are in play, which means that I'm thinking about, okay, you're going to be a multiple six-figure business owner. How would a multiple six-figure business owner act in these situations? It really starts to seep into my identity. So that is how I like to manifest. And when we talk about manifestation, we also talk about detaching, because you probably hear a lot of the time like people talking about how they have to detach from the outcome, but how do you do that when like you really need the money or you really need this, you really need that? So I want you to think of this metaphor. Think about how when you're going to bed the night before, you have to get up really, really early. So let's say you have a flight to somewhere that's like not that fun, or something fun. So let's say that you are going to bed before you have to get up really early. And you know when you're like counting the hours and you're like, I have to wake up at this time, I'm going to get 7 hours of sleep, whatever. And you're thinking about how you have to get up and it's making you anxious and it means that you can't sleep. So think about a night instead where you don't have to work. You're relaxed, or you don't have to get up early in the morning. You're relaxed. You can go to bed a lot easier. That is the process of detaching. So having patience, it's going to happen, and not placing too much pressure on it. So you're still setting the attention. So you're still setting the intention and visualizing and goal setting, but having patience that it's going to happen when it's supposed to happen. I've had times where I have tried to manifest a certain amount of money for a launch or a client or whatever it is, and it didn't come in the time that I wanted it to come. But because I held the faith, it came later on in a different way that actually served me. And that's a really good concept too when it comes to money, is like being aware of the fact that there are so many different ways in which money can come to you. But when you close off the channels and you think, I can only receive money from my job where it's just a single salary and I get paid the same amount, instead, you should be focusing on all the other ways in which like you could potentially receive money. There's an affirmation that I usually practice, and it's money comes to me easily from places known and unknown. That's a very common one when it comes to money mindset. But if you focus on that, then you are able to open up your mind to considering that there are so many different ways in which you can receive money. I had a client who wanted to manifest like $7,300 or something for her son's school tuition. And this was at the beginning of our program. And at the end, she was like, I manifested it through a tax refund. And it was almost down to the dollar as to what they needed. But if she wasn't paying attention to it, then she would have been like, oh no, like that's just tax money. I'm trying to manifest through my business. And that is not always how the universe delivers. It's really specific. And that's why you also need to be really specific in your manifestations as well. Because even though I'm saying I want to make a certain amount of money in my business, there's so many different ways in which that can come through. It can come through affiliates. It can come from one-on-one clients, from single sessions, from courses. There are so many different ways in which I'm allowing it to come through me. And that example with the going to bed really anxious versus going to bed knowing you don't have to get up in the morning, it's that detached, I know it's going to happen, and whenever it happens, I'm going to recognize that this was my manifestation in action. That's what we mean by detaching. And then another thing I want to say about detaching is expectations are attachment. So when you expect I'm going to accomplish this at this rate, when you don't, you can be really, really hard on yourself and all the things that comes with rejection and failure. But when you actually act on those feelings from not accomplishing what you want. So if you're like, I am going to be a 6-figure business owner by the end of 2020, and if I'm not, like, I don't even know what's going to happen. I'm not going to continue. If you have that thought, then it's going to put a lot of pressure and expectation on the result when you could become a 6-figure business owner on January 1st of the next year. And you're like, if I don't accomplish it by this date, like, it's bullshit. But there are so many different things that are working in your favor if you just allow yourself to see them and not have such rigid expectations on the way that things are supposed to be, on the way that they should be, and on the way that you're expecting them to happen. And that's why with my clients, I usually get them to like do this list, and it's like 30 or 50 amazing things that could happen. And it's like, think of all of the possible amazing fucking things that could happen in your business, in your personal life. I like to use the example of being like, Oprah could call me tomorrow and say she wants me on her show. Like, that is something that sounds so outlandish, but when you open your eyes to the possibilities of so many things happening for you, you are able to see them more clearly and, again, be intentional with how you're setting goals and not just do it based on what you think you deserve or what you think you can have, because in reality we can have whatever we want. It's just we have to be intentional and consistent with practicing aligning our mind to it, because when we align our mind to what we want, we are putting our thoughts and our feelings behind it. And that's another thing I wanted to say about manifestation is that when you are manifesting, it's not just about the thoughts that you're having, it's also about the feelings. If you are a high vibrational match, then you are going to attract what you want. And that means being in good feelings. So feeling gratitude, joy, happiness, excitement, elation, what else? Abundance, like all these things that you are able to tap into. Not saying that you aren't going to have shitty days or times where you feel kind of low vibe, but there are so many tools and resources like EFT tapping, meditation, hypnosis. There are so many different things that you can do to get yourself back into a positive state. There's also anchoring, in which I think like earlier in my podcast, I have an episode actually where I do some anchoring, but you may have to scroll a little bit. I'll figure it out. But anyways, anchoring actually allows us to tap into a feeling at that desired moment. Now, again, this is not to discard your negative emotions. Your negative emotions are normal and human. It is normal to feel a certain way, and you shouldn't beat yourself up for feeling a certain way and not being high vibe all the time. That's just not practical to be high vibe all the time. But it's when you can move through those emotions, acknowledge them, validate them, and then get back on track. That's the important part. And when you are a high vibrational match and you're tapping into those feelings of what you know you will feel when you accomplish what you want, that is when you are moving towards it even more, moving towards making that manifestation a reality. Like I am manifesting a beautiful house that is not on a busy ass street. If you guys heard that engine there, because there are people in this town that love to just like rev their engine right as they go up the hill. Anyways, so when I'm manifesting in the morning, I not only write out my goal and am really focusing my thoughts on it, but then I am spending about 5 minutes or even like 2 or 3 visualizing how I was going to feel or how I am going to feel when I achieve that goal. So I'm visualizing me, let's say I'm thinking about this house. So I'm visualizing myself walking into the house, noticing all the specific details, feeling the way I would feel. So happy, joy, gratitude. I'm so excited that I just bought this house. I'm getting so excited just even thinking about it, and just like touching the kitchen counter and like looking out into the beautiful backyard with a pool and a fenced in yard so Hugo can run around. So I'm really tapping into those feelings and how I would feel when that is being accomplished, because I know that you guys have heard me talk about this before, but we can't assume that we are going to feel differently when we have a different experience, because our body is conditioned and programmed to believe or to feel a certain way. And if we are always in the state of anxiety, if we are always in the state of feeling bad and feeling shitty and not having high expectations and blah, 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 like high expectations like for our life, essentially, like not high expectations of everything, but high expectations for what we can achieve, So when we are used to feeling crappy, a new experience is not going to make us feel differently. We're going to have the same feelings because that is what our body is programmed to feel. If you are so used to being unimpressed with everything you accomplish and always wanting to move on to the next thing, you're going to walk into that house and be like, yeah, I'm so glad that I got this and I should feel happy, but like, what's next? And that is a really normal thing to feel when it comes to achieving what you want and being and feeling like an imposter and feeling like an overachiever and feeling like nothing you do is good enough. So with that being said, this has been a really long episode about manifestation. This has been one of my longer ones. But so with that being said, if you guys are interested in hearing more about how I manifest from a more logical and analytical perspective, the more psychology route that I take when it comes to manifesting and intentionally goal setting, then you can shoot me a DM on Instagram at your coach Jill, and I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks so much for listening to the From Imposter to Empowered podcast with me, Jillian Perrick. If you loved this episode, take a screenshot and share it on your Instagram story. And don't forget to tag me at your coach Jill. Of course, I'd love for you to rate the podcast 5 stars and leave a review. And if you screenshot your review and send it to me at your coach Jill on Instagram, I'll send you a free gift. At the very least, make sure you follow me on Instagram, again at your coach Jill, for tons of free content, strategies, and inspo. See you next time.